House of Edtech, episode 49.
Hi, this is Laura Fleming, Library Media Specialist at New Milford High School, and you're listening to House of Edtech podcast with Chris Nessie.
Welcome to the House of Edtech podcast. I am your host, Christopher Nessie, and the House of Edtech explores how technology is changing the way teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. What we're going to do is we're going to discuss technology that is changing our classrooms and schools. We share tools, tips, and resources that you're going to hear about today and you can use tomorrow. I do this by talking to teachers, leaders, and creators like you and have them share their stories. Because, well, whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way we teach and how our students learn. Welcome back. Coming up inside this episode of the House of Edtech, I've got my Edtech thought, an Edtech recommendation, an awesome conversation with Miss Dani Kennis, and of course, another House of Edtech VIP. But first, I want to give you guys a reminder. The 2015 House of Edtech App Smackdown is coming. It's going to be the last episode here in 2015, and you have plenty of time to get your submissions in. Last year's episode number 26, rocked. You guys submitted so many awesome recommendations, and the episode was packed. And we're doing it again this year. So send me voicemail feedback, send me an email, record yourself, because it's a podcast, so let's get your audio into the show. My only rule this year is no repeats. So make sure you go and you listen to episode 26, and I'll include a link to that in the show notes, and get me your Smackdown submission today. I've already gotten submissions from Dani Kennis and also Sharon Plant. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Mary Jo Richmond, who submitted some awesome email feedback. Mary Jo, thank you for being a loyal listener. I'm so glad you discovered the podcast and that you've gone back and listened to all the episodes. I really appreciate that. And the email, well, it really meant a lot to me. And for anybody who hasn't submitted feedback, emails like what Mary Jo sent in really encourage me to continue to produce the content here on the podcast, because it lets me know that you're listening, and it also lets me know that you appreciate what I'm doing and sharing and the conversations I'm having. That's just really nice, and I really appreciate that. If you want to send your own email feedback in, of course, the email address is feedback@chrisnessie.com, and there are a whole lot of other ways that you can get in touch with me and connect, and stick around. I mention those as we close out the show. So thank you again, Mary Jo. I really appreciate it. Also, another announcement real quick here at the top of the show. We have a new podcast that is now a part of the Education Podcast Network, and I am proud to welcome Daniel Bauer from Chicago and his podcast, Better Leaders, Better Schools, which you can find at betterleadersbetterschools.com. This is a pretty relatively new podcast that Daniel launched just here in September of 2015. I am hooked. I'm subscribed. Check it out. And of course, you could check out all the great episodes over on his website, and also the other podcasts on the network over at edupodcastnetwork.com. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Here is my EdTech thought for this episode. For this episode's EdTech thought, I'm kind of going in a different direction. I'm going to share with you something that is really cool. I'm sure it can be applied to education, but I want to talk to you today about art and experiencing art. Now, when I was in high school, I did musical theater, and I consider myself to be outgoing, and I like to perform. I can draw a little bit. I can't really play an instrument, per se, but, I can mess around on a piano or a keyboard. Truth be told, here's a secret, but I've always wanted to be able to play the trumpet. Maybe one day I will. Maybe that's a secret between you and me and everybody else who's listening. Recently, my wife and I, we got to finally celebrate our 8th wedding anniversary. We were married in September of 2007, and this year we celebrated here in November 2015. We got tickets to see Scott Bradley's Postmodern Jukebox, and the show was awesome. We got to go to the Count Basie Theater here in Red Bank, New Jersey. It's a phenomenal musical act. If you got the opportunity, they are touring North America right now, and they're going to be on the East Coast for a little while, and then they're going to make their way, across the country, to the West Coast, as most tours go. But the whole premise of Scott Bradley's Postmodern Jukebox is, and this is from their Facebook page, is that we take pop music back in time. And that's really a simple elevator pitch. They take music that you know from right now, and they rewrite the music, not the words, but the actual music part of it. And they take it from today and they bring it to the 20s, to the 60s, to Motown, to the 70s, to, they just put the music into different time periods. And they have a great YouTube channel, and they do costume, they get into, character a little bit. And it was just a really phenomenal show. So if you have the opportunity to check out this or any type of art, why not? Art is something that is often, here's where we bring it back to education. Art is sometimes, the first thing to get cut. And really that's not fair as someone who is a patron of the arts. And, I really appreciate those kind of things. And I'm sure you do too. You listen to a podcast, and you probably listen to multiple podcasts. Maybe you attend some of the community theater where you live. Take some time in the near future and check out something maybe that you hadn't yet viewed, a local museum, your local community theater. Get out there and, check out something new. Check out something you'll enjoy. Bring your wife, bring your husband, bring your boyfriend, your girlfriend, somebody who's special to you, your kids. Enjoy something. We're coming into the holiday season here in North America. It can be a very special time where you can do some amazing things and have some great experiences and make some lifelong memories with those people that are important to you. Before I leave this EdTech thought, I do want to play a sample of Scott Bradley's Postmodern Jukebox for you here. So here is a little musical medley. I hope you enjoy it. I really hope you enjoyed that little taste of what Postmodern Jukebox is all about. You can connect with them on social media. Most platforms, their username is PMJOfficial. And of course, check out their website, postmodernjukebox.com. And that's my EdTech thought. And now for this episode's EdTech recommendation. Today I'd like to talk to you about Blooms. That's BLOOMZ. With Blooms, teachers can safely communicate with parents, share class photos and updates, and coordinate through volunteer and conference signups. It's a way to connect with the students and your parents via mobile devices. Blooms helps to create an engaged parent community while saving you, the teacher, a great deal of time in your communication and coordination with parents. Real quick, here is an audio clip from the Blooms website that gives you a nice little overview.
Meet Melissa. She's an elementary teacher. Parent communications can be a juggling act for her. She needs to read and prepare emails, notes, letters, text messages, schedule conferences, and answer parents' questions. All this on top of lesson planning and managing the classroom. That's why we created Blooms. Blooms is a new mobile and web app that saves teachers time in managing their communications to parents. With Blooms, Melissa can easily connect with parents, and parents feel more involved with their kids' school. Here's how it works. You can sign up for free at blooms.net. Select your school and personalize your classroom. Teachers control who gets invited to the classroom, so all communications are private and secure. Parents join and start getting notifications in real time. Even those who don't sign up for an account will still receive updates through email. With Blooms, Melissa can share class updates, field trip photos, or send reminders for assignment due dates, registration deadlines, and more. Parent-teacher conferences can be scheduled and confirmed in minutes. Plus, easy volunteer and item requests ensure she gets what she needs when she needs it. Whether she wants to talk to all classroom parents or only to one, Blooms makes it easy to stay in contact, keeping parents informed, involved, and engaged. With Blooms, teachers like Melissa save time and can easily manage everything from one place. Join Blooms now for free.
That's Blooms in a nutshell. And for more information, you can go to blooms.net. Again, that's BLOOMZ.net. And that's my EdTech recommendation. And now joining us here on the House of EdTech, going to be speaking with Miss Dani Kennis through the power of Appear.in. Dani is a good friend of mine. She's a member of the Ed Justice League. She's also, as we get to more professional relevant facts about her, she's a graduate of Indiana University and St. Thomas Aquinas College here in New Jersey, where she earned her master's degree in special education. She's a teacher in Clarkstown, New York, where she teaches special education social studies. She's an avid educational technology integrator and EdTech coach for a faculty of 300-plus teachers and teaching assistants. Dani, in her classroom, creates a blended environment that incorporates the use of Google Apps for Education, among other awesome tools, which we're going to talk about. She is working to prepare her students to be successful 21st century learners in our global community. She enjoys presenting and attending at local EdTech and national conferences, and in her free time, and I don't know how she has any, she enjoys yoga, reading, and outdoor activities. And she's been on the podcast before, if you remember when I reviewed ISTE, but finally and officially, welcome to the House of EdTech, Dani Kennis.
Thank you, Mr. Nessie. I am so excited to virtually be in the House of EdTech.
Time out as I Zach Morris this thing. Come on. Enough with the Mr. Nessie. It's Chris. Or it's Nessie. It's all good. So how are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm excited. I love talking to you. You're the happiest person I know, so it's always fun when we're together and hanging out.
How can I be the happiest person you know when you've got to be one of the happiest and funniest people that I know? aside from the conversations we have every day on Voxer, you do so many wonderful things with Google. Your school is somehow like a Google school, and you have some insider information. And I'm not looking for the deep, dark secrets of Google, but you've been privy to a lot of things before everybody else. What's that been like for you? And talk about some of the things you got to see first.
I've actually wondered that myself. I'm not exactly sure where the relationship between my district and Google began, but we do have a handful of teachers who were probably in the first wave of people that really started to become certified. And I don't even know the name for it now, but a lot of them are innovators now. So my school helped to pilot Google Classroom last year. I wasn't involved in that. I started with them right after that, but they helped to pilot Classroom. And then I was able to work with Google on piloting Expeditions last year, which has been an amazing experience. And I helped them to pilot a few other things, including the share to classroom button. And so I've been involved with them for a lot of different piloting things, which has been awesome. All those opportunities were so great. And
now, real quick, I'm going to jump in because you mentioned Google Expeditions. So
yes,
for everyone who's listening, and this is really fresh and really new, a little quick overview about Google Expeditions from what is it?
Okay, so really simply, it's a virtual reality field trip. Think old school viewfinder. You put that up to your eyes and the teacher will be holding a tablet and the students are using Google Cardboard with right now an Android phone in there, and the teacher leads them through a virtual field trip. Right now, I think there are, I could be wrong on this, but I want to say maybe 120 to 200 different places that you're able to take your students. It's interactive. It's a great supplementary tool in especially a social studies classroom, but I could definitely see it being useful in an English classroom. I have some science and math teachers trying it out this week, so we'll see how that goes. But it's an awesome tool that I can only really say, to get the real feel for it, you just have to use it, because the second you hold it up to your eyes, you kind of have that, oh my God moment. And it is so exciting to see how other people react to it. It's awesome to be able to really feel like you're in that place that you're looking at.
Now, didn't you design one of the social studies based expeditions?
I did. So last December, I had the opportunity to go to Google, the headquarters in New York City, and they kind of threw us a little bit of information, and they said, okay, go find photospheres, put them together. Our engineers are going to make it into a field trip. So I made one on the Renaissance and the Middle Ages that show different points of interest throughout Italy.
Now, how did you get the pictures of Italy?
Not easily. It was really hard to find the photospheres, but we looked for different photospheres. And if we didn't have them, we made a list of what we needed, and we had to kind of plan out this field trip and tell the engineers at Google what we needed, and they were able to get it for us. And now, actually, before I go on, I wanted to talk about this. I don't know what it's called, the Theta something camera. Do you know what it's called?
I don't. You're teaching me.
So eventually, I think that Google is moving towards teachers being able to create their own expeditions. And at NJPA ESET2, at the conference where Jonathan Rochelle was showing us Google Expeditions, he showed us something called the Ricoh Theta 360, which is this 360 camera it's really tiny handheld that allows you to take panoramic pictures. So I think eventually using that, teachers and hopefully students will be able to make their own expeditions down the road.
That would be awesome. I mean, you could do expeditions, you could create virtual tours of, say, your schools or your campuses. So
that's exactly where I think they're headed, actually. Yeah, virtual tours of different college campuses. I'm hoping eventually they'll also be able to make expeditions of the more abstract things. So like inside of a cell, inside of the brain, inside the digestive system, things that are usually difficult to see.
I would not want to be a part of the planning of the let's take a tour of the digestive system.
I agree with you. I don't think I'd enjoy that too much.
Expeditions is huge. The camera technology that's coming is huge. You're also involved with presenting. And again, we met at a conference, and now since I've known you, you have really blossomed. You've gone from, I don't mean to offend you, little slug caterpillar. And now you're like this presenting butterfly that's emerged and like you are out there. And that is so cool to see as somebody who can appreciate somebody who's out there. So as I continue to suck up to you, talk about the value of presenting and why teachers should experience that even one time to get up and teach their peers.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. Your encouragement, you and the rest of the Ed Justice League, is what kind of propelled me to do that. But it's so different than just teaching, because you know that there are people in your sessions at these conferences that really want to be there, that are passionate about what they're learning about. And there's nothing like teaching people that you know are passionate and excited about what you're talking about. It's really nice to be able to connect with people and you know that you have the same interest as them. I totally agree with what you said. It's definitely something that everyone needs to just kind of go for. It also kind of helps you to find your niche. You know, what are you good at? What are you passionate about? And I'm not really there yet. I'm still trying to figure out what my niche really is, but I know that I love presenting and I love being able to connect with other educators at these conferences and grow my PLN and help other people to do the same thing.
All right, fine. I'll let the cat out of the bag that you and I are planning to hopefully present together on being connected.
Yes, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be the most energetic and uplifting and fun presentation in the whole world. But don't tell Adam Schoenbart that.
I won't. He'll eventually hear about it because it's just we're going to rock the world. I mean, I hope okay. One, we got to get it approved. So we submitted it. Hopefully we're going to be at Texpo in January and we're going to be able to rock that. That'll be fantastic.
Absolutely. It's going to be amazing. And even if it doesn't happen there, it will happen somewhere else. And there will be singing and clapping and dancing and treats. I won't say pancakes because I got in trouble for promising that last time, but treats.
Absolutely. Now, what are some of the things you've presented on and what are some things that you hope to present on in the future?
So I've done a lot of presenting at my school, and the people that I present to are typically a lot less advanced than the people I present to at our PD conferences on the weekend. So I've presented on Google Drive Basics, Google Classroom, extensions. I've done a presentation about formative assessment, which I'm hoping to present at the New York State Social Studies Conference in April. And so at the bigger conferences, or conferences in general, I've presented on back channeling. And so far, I think that's pretty much what we've kept it to. Actually, no, we did one presentation, Adam Schoenbart and I, on the SAMR model. And that was more of a discussion, which was really nice because we had people up and moving around and it was really interactive and fun. So I'm hoping to move towards more formative assessment tools because there are so many awesome tools out there that a lot of people aren't using and don't know about that I would love to share with people.
We'll weave some of your recommendations here into the conversation.
Okay. So you want me to just list off my favorites? Because I have them.
Absolutely. Share away.
Read comfortably is one of my favorites for when you're reading an article and there's too much text or too many pictures and you just want to cut it down to the meat of it. You click the extension and it kind of cuts it all down for you. The goo.goal. I think I probably said that wrong. The Goo extension is awesome. It's the URL shortener. Save to Google Drive, Google Drive Quick Create. I love. Clearly is another one that's similar to Read Comfortably, but I like Read Comfortably better. Grammarly is actually one of my favorites. It will pick up on any of your grammar or spelling mistakes. OneTab. I have at least 27,000 tabs open at any given time. I know.
That's a lot of tabs.
It's too many tabs. So OneTab helps to save my battery life. So I love that. And I've kind of started to mess around with Snagit a little bit more recently. AdGuard ad blocker. Obviously, the share to classroom button is awesome also.
Obviously, you are a connected educator. You are on Twitter. You are out there. You Twitter chat your face off. You Twitter chat in the morning. You're on the treadmill. You're in the car. I'm not going to say you drive and text, but, you are a connected educator. From your perspective, why is it important to be connected? What has it done for you?
I can't imagine teaching and not being a connected educator. First of all, for the fact that I'm able to get so many resources and so many different ideas from places like Twitter, but mostly the fact that, and now I'm going to shift a little bit to talk about Voxer because that's the main way that we communicate with each other. Having the Ed Justice League, you guys, so my mastermind group, it really is like a therapy session. at first it was kind of like we would just talk about school things, and then we kind of opened up and started talking about our personal lives. It's just so nice to have a place to go to talk to people that have the same passions and interests, and people that understand you, and people that have the same goals as you do. And I think that teaching can be a really isolated profession, but having that PLN kind of gives you somewhere to go to ask for advice or vent or share ideas. And I really can't imagine not being connected and being an educator, especially as we move towards all of these changes and developments. It's the best thing that I've done for myself in my whole teaching career, is reaching out to people through Twitter and developing a PLN. I know a lot of people say that they avoid the faculty room because there's so much negativity. One of my favorite things about our Ed Justice League group is that we share our edu wins every week. So we always have that to look forward to, and we're always looking for the good in every week to share with each other. And I think that it's what the faculty room should be, but because of whatever factors, a lot of people don't have time in school to converse with colleagues and trade ideas and do all the things that we get to do in the Ed Justice League. But I do think that it takes that motivation and that desire to connect with people outside of the normal hours of the school day. And a lot of people, not your listeners, but a lot of people in education can't fathom making the time outside of the school day for that, which is really unfortunate, because that's really where, for me, the wins are. You know, I love going to conferences. I love connecting with you guys, and my job would be so different, and my day-to-day perspective on my job would be so different if I didn't have that.
It would also be different if we all actually got to work in the same place.
Well, we talk about this a lot, or we've hinted at a lot. In my head, and I think in yours too, we have this dream school. I was listening to your interview with Matt Miller, and I totally agree. He should totally work there when we do open our dream school. And all of these amazing things happen there, but that's not the case every single day. So we kind of live in this dream world where we can talk about things that we want to happen, and we try to implement as much as we possibly can.
And having something like Voxer, it doesn't take a lot of effort to connect with people on a tool like that. I mean, I know if you get into a group, I know Stacy Lindis and AJ Bianco will talk about how they're in some groups, and, you know, there's a lot of people and a lot of people talking, so it can be overwhelming. But if you can, you know, narrow it down as we have, you know, again, there's just 6 of us, so we're not taking on any new members. But if you want to find your own 6 people or a small group of people that you've connected with, it's a great way to, again, share those wins. I know I yelled at you a couple of weeks ago about using the term edu loss, and I didn't want to hear it again. But sometimes you do have to. We vent. There's no getting around it. We teach in isolation, but we're able to come together, and I think there's a lot of value there.
Yeah, you know, the beginning of the school year for me was a really rough time, because I had all these big ideas that I wanted to implement and share with people. And I kind of realized that I had hit a wall, and not a lot of my staff was there yet. And you guys helped me work through a lot of that, which is really nice to have, because otherwise I would have felt so isolated and kind of just defeated. And that feeling at the beginning of the school year is never something that you want to experience, but you guys really did help me work through that. So I was glad and thankful to have you there.
And those are the feelings that you want to have in like March and April, where at least you're at the end of the tunnel. You can see the light. You don't want to feel that way in October or, you know, the end of September. So yeah, we definitely all helped each other. It's been beneficial.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you're right. I think keeping it small is definitely helpful, and we all see each other enough and connect face to face that it really does make those times more valuable. Hit me with another terrible transition.
Let's talk about some of your favorite tech tools. We know you Google your face off, and you mentioned some of the extensions. What are some of the other, either some technology websites, apps that they're always at your disposal, or maybe a couple of things that you've discovered recently that you're really enjoying?
So the first 2 things that come to mind are Remind and Kahoot. And Kahoot has completely changed how my class functions, how most classes in my school function, which really says a lot, because I have a lot of tech resistant people in my school. And that was the first step that they took towards embracing any kind of ed tech in their classroom. The kids are begging every single day to play Kahoot, and we've used it. It's a formative assessment tool, and the kids need a device to play. We've used it from anything for a do now to something in the middle of a lesson just to kind of pep them up a little bit and get them excited, to summative assessment at the end of a lesson, to review for tests. You can also play. I just found out because I did a Google Hangout with Daniela from Kahoot, and she was telling me you can play in ghost mode, which means you can play against yourself, which is pretty awesome, and try to beat your own score. But I love Kahoot. That really has changed the face of my classroom. And then this is kind of an obvious one, but all of the GAF tools. My school is a GAF school, GAF district. We use Google Classroom all the time, every day. Google Slides, Google Docs. And then outside of the GAF domain, I'm a big fan of Padlet, which I got to meet those guys over the summer at ISTE. And there are these young guys who are super excited, really like looking for feedback, really just enthusiastic people who were so creative. And you can just kind of see it on their face, how creative they were and how excited they were to be promoting their product. But I love Padlet.
You did a big Padlet lesson recently. You used it like last week.
I did use it last week. So my students were learning about nationalist leaders, and I had them research 3 of them, and they created their Padlet, their online bulletin board about 3 of the leaders. They posted pictures, maps, and information, and then they shared it with me and presented to each other, and it was really awesome. It was fun.
But now, obviously, since you have the EdTech bug, you're bitten, you're all into it, you're all in, and that's like, I feel like that's the big phrase in like every school district this year. We're all in. We're all in. Hashtag all in. So
I was going to say, when I think of a school district being all in, I think of Middletown and all of our friends that are there, and also Glenn Robbins School down in South Jersey by Atlantic City. And those are schools that I really, really admire, schools that are changing the physical space in their school. And there's just this tangible gelling of the teachers that you can just feel and see when you see these people at conferences. And I so desperately want that at my school or wherever I see myself in the future.
I can agree, and I think we're both in the same boat. Now, Dani, before I let you go, the other thing that you're doing that's really cool, you're working with our buddy Adam Schoenbart. You are one of the masterminds behind the EdTech calendar. Tell people first what that is, because I have listeners all over the world, which is pretty cool. So what's the calendar? How did it start? Where's it going? What's going on?
So the calendar came about when Adam and I were sitting around last fall thinking we had just gone to an awesome conference and we wanted to go to more awesome conferences, but we didn't know where to find a list of that. So we created this whole big list of conferences in our area. And then we were like, we should do something with this. We should make it so that you can visualize it in a way that we're going to be able to share with everyone and have everyone add to it. So we wanted like a crowdsourced calendar. That was my idea. He is totally the brains behind all of the coding and everything. I don't know any of that information, and he is brilliant with that stuff. We've kind of been branching out little by little, and we included New York, New Jersey. We have events in Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and it kind of just took on a life of its own, and people started coming up to us at conferences saying, this is amazing. How can we contribute? So now we are kind of at a point where we are super duper excited. We have a lot of big changes that are coming to the calendar that we are planning on announcing.
Are you adding an 8th day to the week?
We're adding an 8th day to the week, maybe even a 9th. It's going to be really big, unheard of. So we're super excited to share with everyone. Everyone's given us awesome feedback, and we're really looking forward to going bigger and better. But that's all we'll tell you for now.
Now, I could pry it out of you, but I won't. I'll respect your secrecy. But where are people going to be able to, where should they go to see what you have now and then see what it's going to be?
So right now it's edtechcalnyj.com. That may or may not be changing. I don't know. It is.
It is changing. Okay. All right. So we'll leave it at that so people can start there and something is coming. Now before I really let you go, where can people connect with you, Dani Kennis?
The best way to reach me is on Twitter at Kennis. That's tennis with a K, KennisDani. And then they can also visit my blog, DaniKennis.com, which the wonderful Chris Nessie helped me to create. So thank you so much. And those are probably the best ways to reach me.
Awesome. So everybody listening, connect with Dani. She is a pistol and a half of energy, knowledge, and even if she had no energy, her knowledge is, second to none in terms of her passion and dedication to education and technology and just all the wonderful things she's doing. So if you're not connected with Dani, she is a former VIP. Now she's been on the show. And if you're still not connected with her, I'm very disappointed in you. So get connected with Dani Kennis. Dani, thank you so much. You are on the short list of open invitation. Anytime you want to come on and share something or be a part of the program, you know where to find me, and we get you right on.
Will you allow me into the real House of Edtech instead of just the virtual House of Edtech? That's what I really want. One
day, yes, I do want to have everybody over, and you can come and actually check out the House of Edtech.
I cannot wait. Thank you so much for having me on here.
And now for this episode's House of Edtech VIP. Congratulations to Miss Jessica Raleigh. Jessica is a personalized professional learning program manager for Denver Public Schools. She has taught a variety of urban and suburban settings at STEM, highly gifted and talented, and arts-integrated schools in Colorado. Her classrooms have ranged from limited to no technology all the way up to one-to-one and BYOD Google Apps for Education environments that utilize a number of different platforms and devices. Jessica has a bachelor's in dance from California State University, Long Beach, and a master's in educational psychology from the University of Colorado in Denver. Jess is passionate about creating experiences that meet the needs of all learners and inspire them to take ownership of their journey. She loves to think, learn, share, and get excited about all things edu-awesome. Jessica is passionate about helping others in any way that she can, especially by supporting meaningful connections within a passionate professional learning network. Through hashtag BFC530, the early morning Twitter chat, Jessica feels that they are doing just that, and she is honored to be part of such an inspirational community that constantly keeps her learning and growing. Make sure that you connect with Jess Raleigh. Her Twitter username is TyrnaD. I don't even know if I said that right, but she is at TYRNAD. And of course, check out her content and her blog at jessicaraleigh.com. That's JESSICARALEIGH.com. Congratulations, Jess. You are a House of Edtech VIP. And that's going to do it for this episode of the House of Edtech podcast. Please keep the conversation going and visit the website, chrisnesi.com. That's CHRISNESI.com. Over on the website, you can review the show notes for this episode, number 48. I would love your thoughts on the information and resources shared in this episode, like my conversation with Dani Kennis. Perhaps you have checked out or will check out blooms.net, or you have seen Postmodern Jukebox and you want to share your enjoyment of their music with me. That'd be awesome. You can leave a comment in the blog post, or you can email me, feedback@chrisnesi.com, or you can also submit audio feedback. And I got to tell you, I love audio feedback. You can call me at 732-903-4869, and that, of course, is the House of Edtech listener feedback line. And you can also send audio to me via Voxer. My username there is Mr. Nessie, MRNESI, and that's also my Twitter handle. Anything you tweet at me about the show, just use the hashtag House of Edtech, so you can definitely make sure I see it. Now, if you enjoyed the podcast, and I hope that you do, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast in iTunes. A positive rating and review helps to keep the show front and center for others to discover and enjoy. But above all, if you like the show, tell somebody else about it. That's the best way you can help me continue to do what I do. Tell somebody else to subscribe and check out the podcast. You could also help the show financially. If you want to visit patreon.com/houseofedtech, you can donate as little as $1 per episode, or you can go crazy. I'm not going to stop you. But again, if you wanted to help out the show that way, you can go to patreon.com/houseofedtech. On the next episode of the podcast, I'm going to be speaking with Natalie Krayenwenger, and I'll be releasing that conversation and all the great recommendations and content of episode 49 on November 22nd, 2015. As always, thank you for listening, and remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try.
Okay, so every time I get my nails done, the woman makes me like pose my fingers in really weird poses so she can take a picture of it. And I always move my fingers. And she's like, "You are so bad at this." That's how I feel right now.
The House of Edtech is a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. The Education Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. For more, go to edupodcastnetwork.com.